Hi there. Welcome to the program. My name is Dean. Packed house today. Please welcome all of us, including and not limited to Lachlan Cross from 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Lock, nice to see you. James DeFiore, Blackballed the podcast, blackballmedia.ca, at James DeFiore on Twitter. Jamesy, nice to see you as well.
Nice to see you as well, Dean. Thank you for having me today.
And Walking Medical Miracle at Bondzee Live. Greg Bond, ladies and gentlemen, from the Tripping with Bondzee podcast. Bondzee, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you, Dean. Doing okay. A little sniffles. Still got the pain in the ears. And other than that, we're good.
Yeah.
Ringing in the ears, ED. Anything else? Come on.
No, we're doing good, man. My breathing's fine. Headache, and that's about it. No,
why do you want
erectile dysfunction.
Why do you want him to have like all kinds of long COVID effects? Lock. Like,
well,
I understand.
Here's why.
All right.
Because I think Bondzee is, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Bondzee is the guy that gets everything. Like, he gets COVID for the third time and then ends up with all the symptoms.
Do you think people that worry about their health cause them to get the ailments because of the worry?
But I'm not worried about fuck all. I got.
You're always talking about it though. Guys, my lung fell out in Texas or whatever the fuck, right? Like you said, like a bunch of shit was happening.
You're a medical.
No, I disagree.
And then sometimes you just throw in, guys, I'm doing pretty good. Oh, except for the copious amounts of fungus on my fingers, which is there for some reason.
You just told us about your whole week,
gone.
And it's all planned around doctor's visits.
What's your week like?
Apparently, you have to go to some doctor up north. Like, there's no doctor that can help you that's in the south.
Well, let's back that up, okay? Because we got to figure this out before we get into the podcast. We got lots to get to. J.K. Rowling versus trans people. For some reason, this excites me today. We'll get to that because I had a fight about it.
I knew you'd come around.
Well, it's not that I've come around, but someone brought it to my attention. So I would like, because you wrote a piece on it. Well, you wrote a piece on it because J.K. Rowling's like Harry Potter book is going non-binary for people, and I don't care. But you did, and not lots. One person did yesterday who I know who has a blue check mark, and she came for us yesterday, and we took care of that real quick. But anyway, we'll get to that coming up in a few minutes because I don't understand it, nor do I really even give a shit, to be honest with you, which is the truth. I really don't care. However, I will say this. We've got a bunch of stuff to unzip and undress today, including but not limited to, again, Doug Ford's great big snow job yesterday, which has blown up in his face. We got mainstream media to sewer. Always my favorite show. Really enjoy doing that. And we got a couple other tidbits and bits and bytes to get to today as well. So, but more importantly, Bonds, I'm reading this now. Psychosomatic symptom disorder occurs between 5 to 7% of the general population. So there's a chance that 5 to 7% of the things that you say you're dealing with today are all in your head. To your point, Locke, yes, it happens 5 to 7% of the time when people say they're ill. They've cooked it up in their head, according to evolutionary psychologists worth their salt. So there you go.
Well, I think it works the other way, too. I think you can convince yourself that whatever you're doing is working as well.
Placebo. Right? The placebo effect probably has like a yin to that yang, and that would be the negative impacts of your health because of your mind. Because placebo is basically your mind kind of like doing the job of a man. Like, they don't even know what a placebo effect is. It's just that some people get cured by medications they're not actually taking when they're in a study because of what they call the placebo effect. So it has to have a cousin that, when you're negative, not saying you're negative on it, I'm just saying in general, when you're like, worried a lot about your health or whatever, that maybe the placebo effect has that bizarre world cousin where it's just like, oh, now you have the ailment that you were worried about maybe having, even though you didn't. I don't know.
I also think it's a large part of the reason why people are successful or say they're successful with ayahuasca trips.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because they went through it and they're like, my God, I feel so different, when really all you did was just trip right the fuck out like you've never tripped out before, right?
Shit your pants.
But I can't take away.
It worked for me.
Yeah,
it worked for me too, because I haven't had a snake nightmare. Now, I'm still terrified of them in that, but I've never had a nightmare since I had my ayahuasca episode and dealt with my massive fear of snakes, where I had nightmares about them all the time. Gone. Just like that from ayahuasca.
So you had a fear of snakes that was cured by ayahuasca? Is that why you went into the bush to do it? Was it like, because you were trying to deal with PTSD, right?
Yeah,
I still think it's
thought that would come out more than anything, and it never did. Other things came out instead, and one of them was my fear of snakes.
Yeah.
Now I still fear them, but they don't. I don't have nightmares about them anymore. And we're talking that was 4 or 5 years ago, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. When you say fear of snakes, is it unnatural? Like, do you squeal? Do you shriek? Do you freak out? Oh, say hi to your dad. He just walked
prowler.
through the screen.
Yeah. What's to know if I want honey garlic sausages for supper?
Yeah.
It's in with the Hawaiian pork.
It's in with the Hawaiian pork.
With the Hawaiian pork.
Hey, Dad.
Thanks, Terry.
You decided you could come in and say hi. There's
What's
something you won't see on the CTV Evening News. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
Old Kenny made an appearance.
Yeah, old Kenny asking if you want pork sausage for dinner.
Hawaiian pork sausage. Don't forget the Hawaiian pork sausage. So back to the psychosomatic thing. You are afraid of snakes? Like are you like, if you see one, do you lose it? Will you snap?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm terrified of them. I go running like a schoolgirl. Like, I would run faster than all three of you motherfuckers if it came down to being chased by a snake.
When did that start? How old were you?
I'm not really sure. I think early 20s, somewhere in my 20s, and nothing ever happened. Like, I didn't have a bad experience with snakes. I just came to have a fear of them all of a sudden. I couldn't look at them. I wouldn't watch them in a movie or anything because they would chase me in my sleep, and it was like a real thing. Really scary, fucking crazy nightmares with snakes involved.
It could be metaphorical. I'm serious. Like, maybe, like, did someone cheat on you, and now you've been afraid of snakes because of the metaphor of?
Every girlfriend I've had's cheated on me. Wife too. Ex-wife.
I bet you the snake fear has to do with the fact that all these dicks end up in your wives, right? Like,
maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If I just out of nowhere, just like a test, just to see what's up. If I put a picture of some kind of snake on the screen, would it bother you?
Yes, it would a lot.
That bothers you?
Yes, absolutely.
What happened?
Like that? Because I get this massive fear, and all I see is that face with the fangs and everything, and that's what comes at me in my dreams and stuff. Like
it sort of looks like a vagina, the mouth.
No, it really doesn't.
A whole bunch of stuff happening in that image. Look at that.
Dude, those, like, that's terrifying to me. I'm trying to watch all the new I'm watching Harry Potter from beginning to end again.
Oh, there's so many snakes in that.
I know. I have to watch half of it like this. And it only gets worse, apparently, my kid said. So
when you get older, the fear that you have, the phobia gets worse?
Oh, dude, fuck. Yeah, it does get worse. See, at least, like, I can look at them really quickly now, and they haven't come into my dreams yet, thankfully. But
he's literally not looking at the screen. Like, I've got a snake on the screen. I don't know what kind. It looks poisonous and deadly.
Yeah, it really looks poisonous a lot. I remember we were in Nicaragua one time coming home from a golf day, and it was dusk. And there was a massive boa constrictor in the road that had got run over, and it was still alive. Everybody got out and was touching it and taking pictures and stuff. I never left that van, and in fact, I closed the doors waiting for those fuckers to get back because you never know.
Bothers you that much? Fucking wild. That's
the funny thing about phobias too, because I got a real serious lesson in phobias. I worked with this woman back at another radio station, and she was scared of. I was doing afternoon drive, and she was the midday girl, and she was scared of snakes. So we decided that we were going to fuck with her, and we brought a big snake in. Like, we had this guy that has snakes, and he walked into the control room with it around his neck, and we're filming it. She literally dropped to the floor, and we did it on the air, of course. Why wouldn't you? She literally dropped to the floor and started crying.
Wow.
And I was like, well, when you said you were scared, I didn't realize you were gonna
you know how Bam Margera in that one Jackass episode, he's terrified of snakes, and they was in that container and they dropped the snakes. I would have died. Like, you guys would have watched me have a heart attack on the spot.
We have to do this. We have to do this. You're on. Yeah, we have to do this. One of those ones where, like, we see you react in real time. Do you know how huge reaction videos are? Like, legitimately, to see a guy like you who is like fucking petrified of snakes.
I got a better idea.
Like, you can't even look at this picture. You look away.
Dude.
You put your hand in front of the screen so you can't see it because you're fucking freaked out that much by it. Look at this. It's unbelievable. Yeah. If you ever want Bondzee to leave a house party, show up with a snake.
Let me jot that
Well,
down.
there's no dramatic effect here. There's no dramatic effect.
If I meet my dream girl and she's got a pet snake, I'm out.
Over?
Like, where the relationship would be over like that.
What if
you're looking at a computer screen? You know that, right?
I got two.
It doesn't matter, dude.
I got two things I want to say. Okay, what if she decided that she couldn't live without you, Bondzee, and she killed the snake and then had it for dinner? Would you eat the snake?
I might actually.
Okay.
I actually might eat snake because
would you eat the whole thing?
Here's the other question I have
the good
for
parts if there's any.
Because I'm with old Dean here.
Knock it off. You're an asshole.
I'm with old Dean here on the snake thing. I think what we should do is, and this, we wouldn't do it against your will. I think we take it. Where do you do the ayahuasca?
Nicaragua, where I'm off to shortly.
Okay. All right. You go to Nicaragua. Okay. Right. You do your little trip into the woods, and the guy in the with the leather pouch covering his sack, he hammers up the old in the bowl.
The guy with the leather.
It's a liquid.
It's a liquid. But don't they crush something first with like
tobacco leaf tea?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Like, right, and then he pees in it, and then pours it in a glass, and then you drink it, and then we let you trip balls, and then right when you're like just right cresting the mountain of your trip, we put a bunch of snakes on you.
I would die, dude. I would die.
But you're on
not seeing Impractical Joke.
Yeah,
like your reactions are the best. Have you not seen Impractical Jokers where they get? I think it's Sal Vulcano. And he's like deathly afraid of cats, and they lock him in a hotel room with a tiger. Did you not see that?
No.
Yeah, dude. It was like one of the greatest reaction videos you'll ever seen. They're like, go in there for the next prank. He's like, all right, walks in, they lock the door, fucking massive tiger walks out of the bathroom. I'm telling you, I laughed my dick off watching that. You would be viral. Like, you want to go viral? Let's put you in a bathtub with like 6 of these fuckers. Seriously,
no, dude, I would have a heart attack though. I would.
6, but 1 is.
Even if there were garter snakes that weren't poisonous, dude, I don't care if it's this big or this big. I cannot deal with them. The slithering,
that's so fucking awesome, dude.
And that mouth wide open with the fucking fang. No, dude,
yeah.
I've lived in Nicaragua for many years. I have dealt with spiders that are like ginormous, like claw spiders are huge, and they don't bother me. I could care less. But snakes.
What about a cartoon?
As an experiment, you should watch footage of your exes being plowed by their side pieces and just see if it scares you the same way that a snake would. What?
It wouldn't actually.
Remember old Hangover? In the scene in the hotel room with Mike Tyson's cat, Tiger. Holy shit, that was funny.
Fuck, there is a tiger in the bathroom. I don't know what it is. There's this thing inside me now that I know this is a major weakness. Yeah, steak and sleeping pills. The major weakness for you, I want to see what happens when you actually see it. Like flashing one on the screen and watching you lose your mind is great, but like holy fuck.
We went to Michigan and the boys played a prank on me with.
I'm a little worried about that thing.
What happened?
And it was absolutely so. They put it behind the card. It was one of those ones that it was fake, obviously, and it wraps up and it looks so fucking real. Anyways, they're like, "Oh, Bondzee, come here!" And I came around the back of the cart and I seen that thing, and I fucking ran like literally a hole over. I was gone. I thought it was real, right? So. Anyways, they told me it was just a prank. And then the fuckers put it in my bed one night. And I got in there, I was super wasted. And all I had, my foot just touched it. I was already down the hall, gone. And they were all fucking videotaping and laughing.
Yeah, it's a really deep embedded fear because like people that are afraid of heights, if Dean showed a height, you know, I don't think people afraid of heights would be like, whoa, shit, Jesus, what are you doing? Like, you have to actually be up high to be afraid of. Like, it's a laptop, dude.
Yeah.
It's not. Dude, put it up again. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, so let me ask you what happens. Okay, I put this snake on the screen, and you fucking can't look at it. You put your hand up. You got your eyes closed. What's happening in you right now? Describe your feeling after seeing that. Tell me right now. It's
terrifying because again.
Do you think it's going to get you?
Yeah, I do. It happens when I go to sleep at night. That's when they come out. It's not now is not the big problem. It's later when I'm sleeping.
Yeah. I was fascinated by this. Do you know what the top 10 most common phobias are?
Snakes
are in there.
Spiders, snakes,
Yeah.
Heights,
sure.
snakes, spiders.
Heights,
Needles
definitely.
is number 10. Needles is number 10. Go figure.
Marriage.
Number 1 for Dino. Fear of storms, number 9.
What?
Fear
Really?
of dogs. Cynophobia. Fear of dogs. Number 8. Number 7.
There's a
fear
little
of snakes.
person phobia too. Jimmy's run into a couple of people that literally
that
run
freak out when they see. I would pay money for that too, by the way. Fear of insects, emetophobia, claustrophobia. You know what that is? Closed spaces. Fear of flying. I don't even know how to say it. Acrophobia, fear of heights. Agoraphobia, fear of open spaces, and then of course social phobia is number 1 across the board. But you just have a fear of snakes.
If you listen to the media, I think it's a travesty that transphobia is not on that list. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's true. Can you explain to me, by the way, what the fuck is going on with like trans? Because I got some. Well, let's just call it what it is: virtue signaling from an old friend of mine, Tara Sloan, who works for Hockey Night in Canada. And
how did she go after you?
Oh yeah.
Well, she went after me through Dean for some reason.
Yeah. So he posted it. You know, James can't get enough of J.K. Rowling, right?
Well, show that cleavage shot again. She's pretty.
I think she's hot.
J.K. Rowling. Do we need to objectify J.K. Rowling today?
No.
Might as well. Everyone else is threatening her life.
Well,
Might as well inject her with something good.
Looks great. So there's J.K. Rowling. He writes a piece on this plan for a woke version of Harry Potter, where he goes after. The woke version of Harry Potter, saying it's fucking crazy that you're demeaning this woman's work and you're going after a trans friendly version of Harry Potter because there's trans people fucking hate her guts. Is that my understanding? Correct?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why people hate her is really the key issue there, because somewhere someone made a rule that said that if you recognize that there's a biological difference between people who are born male and people who are born female, then you're a bigot. It's like you're not allowed to look at it. It's like grandma's goiter. You're not supposed to stare at it. You know it exists, but you're not. Don't look at the goiter. You know you're gonna make her feel bad, and it's kind of the same thing.
In a long time.
Guys,
we don't use that enough.
If there were 10 women in a line and 3 of them were trans, how long would it take for us to pick out the trans person? And it's not because of anything bad.
Which one has a goiter?
Well, there's all these indications. Like there's muscle
that
mass.
Person, I don't care what their sex is. She has too much salt in her diet.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so help me understand it, because I got hit with this. Tara Sloan yesterday sent me this, and I'll be fair, I muted her a couple of months ago because of this kind of stuff. So I still follow her, but she's one of my mute follows, by the way. I just want to let you know.
You threw me under the bus for a mute follow? You're like,
well,
I don't share James's opinions.
So you write this. We're a blog collective, right? Just to explain to everybody, we're a blog collective. You write this. Well, I'm telling the truth. I'm happy to show you. I don't care. We're a blog collective, bunch of different people, 30, 40 bloggers, podcasters that put stuff up they find interesting. I read this piece. I have zero interest in any part of these stories. However, when a friend of mine comes after me and she virtue signals by saying Rowling, by the way, we've DM'd each other hundreds of times. So the fact that she did this publicly bothered me. Rowling, who's been inundated with death threats, she quotes your story, ever since pointing out biological women are essentially being erased by biological males who are insisting you can be a female by claiming to be female. Tara says, Dean, what the fuck? Such a dangerous and incorrect take. Now, I read that again, went back and read the story because, as you know, I muted her and I didn't see this for hours. And so I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? So I just went, fuck, I didn't write it. I
That's
passed
why
the buck.
Blocking is way better, because
then
you're
she
not
says,
going to get that.
Yeah, but I've already muted her. So it's, Anyway, so Tara's like, but you're promoting it on your platform, to which I replied, we're a blog collective, and that's what James thinks. I defer to the individual in every case as long as it's not hateful, and I didn't find it hateful. I find it weird, though, when people who can DM me virtue signal here instead. So take it up with James, I guess. That's my answer. That started a DM thing that went for an hour last night, and I'm like, fuck, I'm tired. Whatever, I got to go to bed. So I don't know a lot about this other than the fact this is a nuclear subject I enjoy staying away from, because I think if a woman identifies as a woman or a man, that's up to her. If a man identifies as a woman or man, that's up to him. If you identify as a fucking snowplow and a premier, you can go out and do that too. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. But there's a large segment of society, and you might be one of them, who feels like J.K. Rowling is getting the shaft. So you're standing up and saying, I don't agree. Am I mistaken?
I still don't know what Tara was upset at. Is she upset at
Tara doesn't even know what
she's
upset about. Tara doesn't even know what she's upset about, because this is one of those things where surface scratchers have no idea. They don't want to do the work in an issue, and the work in this issue is pretty simple. The impasse is this: are people who are born biological male who then transition. They could be, obviously, like, we want them to live good lives. Trans people exist. They should have like all the rights that everyone else has, etc., etc. But trans women and women are not the same things. They're equals, but they're not the same things. And we know this. And we're living in a weird twilight zone where we're pretending it's not true. We're pretending that like biological males and biological females are exactly the same. You can't say
that there's a difference between a woman who was born a woman and a trans woman.
A lot of crazy activists, if you call them a biological male, if they're a trans woman, they'll say that that's hate speech, even though they are biological males.
So my question would be this: if scientifically we all know the difference, right? Like, I know in my head what we're dealing with here when we get into this conversation. And I said this to Tara in a direct message. I got to tell you, if a woman says she's a woman or a man, good for them. To the individual, it's up to them who they want to be and how they want to identify after that. I, honest to God, and you know what? Trans people can get mad at me. I'm fine with it. I don't think they will. Specifically, some of our trans friends like Zoe Carey, who I talk to all the time.
Trucker Zoe.
And I think Zoe would agree with me that, hey, listen, whatever you got to do, I'm your ally in life, which is why I don't understand why it means something to heterosexual people that are like, now Tara has indicated she has family that are trans, and outside of that, it was short on messaging, and we're going to talk on Friday. To be fair, I said to her, well, help me understand it. She's agreed. We're going to talk on Friday. So she's got a vested interest in family. But I don't understand why we have to wade. And I'm happy to post the article because I actually enjoyed it. But like, why do we weigh into conversations about how people identify when during the scope of our day, I don't really give a shit?
The reason why, that's a good question. Then the reason why is because the policies in Western nations, places like Scotland, the UK, Canada, certain states in the United States, if a male, a person who's lived his life as a male, if they declare themselves to be women in the countries that I named, it's like a blind faith acceptance. Okay, you're a woman. And what's happening is that cisgendered men are co-opting the trans identity. Hold on. Straight males, right? Straight regular males, right? If what's happening in these countries, and there's stories, and there's a lot of like examples of this. It's no longer anecdotal.
Jamesy. Yeah. Sorry. Let me just cisgender, not cyst.
Cis.
SCIS. It stands for straight human male, I guess.
Okay.
Cisgender, straight.
All right. I thought you said cyst.
No,
I don't like
we have to change it all to cisgender for some reason. Like straight.
But the point is that because they're able to just declare themselves to be female, all of the rights that go along with that in certain countries are immediately applied. So, for example, there was that rapist in the UK that during his sentencing declared himself a female, got shipped to a women's prison because he was enshrined all the rights that a woman would have, and then proceeded to rape and assault 2 inmates at that prison. And so that is what we are talking about. And that it's interesting because it's not even an anti-trans argument. I'm saying that straight dudes are going to lie and say they're trans because you're making it really easy for them to do so. And it's going to create a lack of safety in certain spaces that are supposed to be just for women.
Yeah, but aren't those cases like so infinitesimal when it comes to
you're talking about rape, though. So how many rapes is too many rapes? If you're going to build a new pool of rapes, but if you're going to build a new pool of rapes, isn't one too many?
No, Dean.
Yeah. No. Dean, stop. Stop, Dean. Before you get this fucking way off track, Dean. Stop.
I think it's a feminist argument.
No, but I just want to back that up.
From ignorance.
Yeah, please. But just let me. I just want to finish this, and then I'll be real quick. you've mentioned this is where you and I disagree. I agree with your ability to have an opinion on it, and I stand by it. And it wasn't hateful, and I thought it was great. But where you and I disagree is if there are 5 billion trans, and there aren't, but if there are 5 billion trans people in the world, you're talking about like 6 different examples, and there are probably more. But we can't apply that to the entire genus, if you will. We can't apply that with a broad stroke against the grain, because what happens, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, what happens is that it comes off as, and I know you're not, very exclusionary, and you're taking the worst of the worst examples and applying it to the stereotype.
But the thing about that example, and the reason why percentages aren't as important as instances, is because it was a needless thing to do. It is not necessary for a male-bodied person who declares themselves to be female to then be shipped to women's prisons or rape crisis centers or things like that. Spaces normally reserved for female-bodied people. And the reason why is because of safety. And it like the policy in the UK that shipped this person to this women's prison where she ended up, I call him a he because I don't think these people are trans. I think that they're predators. These people that I'm talking about, not trans people, but the cisgendered males. And so you're making it so easy to increase the risk of harm to women in prisons and rape crisis centers. Why can't you have a space for the trans community exclusively so that they can feel safe, so that women can feel safe? Because you don't want trans women in male prisons because they'll get fucked over there, right?
It's not your job. It's not your job, though. Like I look at it like,
what's not my job?
How many trans people are in jail?
I don't know. Right. I don't know. But like you're talking about like the fucking a morsel.
It should be easy to fix then.
Yeah, well, why do we have to make such a big deal out of it? That's my question, because what happens is like I read that thing and didn't have a problem with it because it wasn't hateful, but I was like, okay, so I need to understand this from James's perspective, why you keep sticking up for J.K. Rowling, and you come back to like a couple of very similar examples, but I mean, the community is so much bigger and brighter and vibrant than that.
It's also more diverse, and a lot of activists agree with me. A lot of trans activists who are transgender people say it doesn't make any sense to increase the risk to women's safety by having these policies. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing good is happening by allowing these policies to exist. The only thing that would allow safety to be a top priority is if you made like if you had a prison and there was like a trans wing, so that they wouldn't, so that the risk to women would be less, and then the risk to them not being around the male population, general population, would also be less. But they call it segregation.
What they're fighting for is exactly the opposite of that. And if 99.9% are not, egregious rapists that like to go into that did it just for the chicks in jail, like.
But that's not even an anti-trans argument. Trans are victims of these predators co-opting their identity.
Well, you should go after the victims and the values of the not the victims. You should go after the people perpetrating it instead of the group.
Well,
that's my opinion.
J.K. Rowling, this is why she is hated and threatened. This is the tweet. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. And that's why people threaten her life today, because of that
question.
Dude, the reaction was crazy. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Question. I think that that I need some help on this because I'm a little bit confused. If you are going to transition, isn't there is it something you can decide in front of a jury in a courthouse in the middle of a trial? I thought it was a little bit more involved in that. Like if I'm a dude and I feel more like a woman, isn't there, before I am actually recognized as somebody who is trans, don't I actually have to go through some sort of, or
you do in most states. You do in most states in the US, but in places like the UK and Scotland, it's called self-ID. You literally fill out paperwork.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so I just
but the people that are filling that out,
wig and away we go.
No, but the people that are filling that out for the express purposes of getting caught in a crime to go to jail for the chicks, like that's That's what we're talking about here. We're not
It's a
talking
small
about
number.
the community.
It's
very small.
But the number exists needlessly. It doesn't have to be.
Well, it's like KKK guys in fucking hoods don't represent us, right? They don't, but we get brushed with the same story. It's the same with every group, every race, every religion. There are extremists that misrepresent the entire community. That would be my take on it.
Doesn't it give you a little bit of pause? That somebody Lachlan size. That someone's Lachlan size.
Not my problem.
Could say to more that there are women.
235, by the way. I just weighed myself.
Hold on a second. Yeah, but if someone's Lachlan, really yesterday you didn't put Lachlan in the women's prison if he had to go to jail because he's a man and his name is Lachlan. But if Lachlan changed his name to Laura, people would be like, "Why don't you put him in the jail?" Even though it's the same body. That is the idea. That is the whole thing. If you don't have your dick anymore, just to give it the most like lay terms ever, if you don't have your dick anymore, fine, go to the rape crisis center, go to the women's prison. That's great. If you still have a dick, dicks are largely responsible for rapes. I don't think you should have dicks in women's prisons. I just
see, and I think that's where you've gone like,
yeah.
I think that's where you go like right over the ledge.
No.
Like I don't understand. I don't identify with anything that you just said. Nothing.
You don't understand with the fact that dicks are often used to rape people.
No, you're making it so much fucking more dramatic than it needs to be. Like the drama here is involved in very few. No, you are, but you're boiling it down to the worst common denominator possible, and you can't do that in this conversation. Not when it comes to sexuality. Not when it comes to how people identify. You have to take them individually, right? That's why this movement and the argument to me, like the article was well written. I applaud the fact that people are offering their opinion on different things, but when you use that brush to like literally sideswipe an entire fucking genus of human beings, I don't identify with that. So that's my opinion.
Just to review. I think that straight men make the trans community unsafe. I think that women in rape crisis centers in prison shouldn't have to deal with a cellmate or a roommate that has a penis because they've been traumatized and they're in a very vulnerable spot. And I don't think any of that is anti-trans. Because the policies that we've decided to create of self-ID means that The Rock tomorrow could compete in women's boxing if he just declared himself a woman, and we have to go along with that because apparently that's totally normal, and it's just not.
No, but yeah, and this is where you and I separate in our agreement because I want to see it.
I want to see
As long as you're motivated by the right things, Dean.
Oh shit! Right.
Who doesn't want to see The Rock enter an international boxing competition as a female? This guy. Who doesn't want to see women do that to men? This guy. I want the carnage of all of it. That's
also because I saw Rob in the comments. I saw just quickly, Lachlan. Sorry, but I saw Rob in the comments, and Rob, I respect you a lot. And so, if you want to have this conversation offline, that would be good too, because I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying, which is not an anti-trans person argument.
I know you're not anti-trans.
I don't think we can misunderstand you because we've done this 42 times on this podcast.
It wasn't my idea this time. This was Dean.
By the way, I do want to say this. J.K. Rowling has never looked better. Yeah, smoke.
If that isn't a case for never wanting to do a facial to a woman, I don't know.
Is it cold in Ireland?
It appears to be a little chilly in jolly old England, actually.
I wonder if she's looking for somebody like Bondzee.
Probably. I think
she
was looking for a Dean. That's what she wants. Right
no, I think more Bondzee. I think she's more into the Bondzee, the bald.
Yeah,
I
think she's into somebody that has money, like her.
Yeah,
I'll just throw that out there, boys.
She's got enough. I don't think
if she ever wants to go slumming, I'm her greatest defender.
Caryma's laughing already, and she just joined. Caryma Saad, ladies and gentlemen, nice to see you.
What's the shirt say, Caryma? What's the shirt say?
Oh, we can't hear you. Yeah. You got to turn your audio on.
We got you muted.
While she's muted, I'd just like to say that I always enjoy the fact that her shade of lipstick matches her glasses frames.
She does that on purpose, I think.
I know.
I think so. I think it's a move. Yeah. It's a move. And I'm pretty sure JK did it here too. Yeah. Matches her.
I wasn't
boobs.
really looking at her lipstick.
Oh yeah, you're good. Caryma Saad, ladies and gentlemen, she's back. Hey, Caryma, how are you?
With the astute observation that JK would also like a moneyed man, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's looking for somebody that's on the same level as her financially.
She doesn't want to argue with the
close. Within shooting distance anyway.
I'm like James that way though.
Pretty
Where
small
I look
pool.
at a picture like this of J.K. Rowling, I'm like, I might have a chance if I got
She
her
looks
alone
like,
for
you know
like
what?
10
Okay,
minutes.
obviously you picked that picture because of her breasts, right?
I don't know what
And
you're talking
she's got
about.
amazing breasts.
No idea.
And she's wearing a beautiful dress. But can I just say this about her? Every time I see her, I always get this thought that I'd like to hang out with her and have a beer. She looks like that kind of cool, she's kind of got that vibe, right?
She's
like
also powerful, which is really hot.
Powerful's kind of cool too, but I sort of get the sense that she's the type that'll be, you hang out with her in the morning and then you're going for a hike later on in the afternoon, right? Skeet shooting.
Just be bossy with that British accent.
Maybe a
great
sauna later in the evening.
I love a nice sauna. You're right. It's
I want a sauna in the house. My wife won't let me.
Oh, you got to get a sauna. Anyway, Caryma, how are you? Nice to see you.
I'm good. Thank you. The shirt says, lawyer told me not to talk to you, by the way. Acumen Law, thank you very much for the merch. Here's your plug.
Caryma, of course, lawyer. Sadvocacy.com is where you can find her at Caryma Rules on Twitter. She's my friend, and great to see you here. We've had a interesting couple days with Bondzee, huh?
What a trip.
Old Cheesecake Ford.
What do you make of what he did over the past 2 days? If you're just joining us, Caryma and I have workmates, friends. Caryma follows idiots. Doug Ford's next on her list. She did a great podcast called Caryma Rules with Robin Doolittle, the writer of Crazy Town.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Which you can get from Caryma as well. Go to Caryma at Caryma Rules on Twitter, and you can download it and you can subscribe to her podcast. It's excellent.
Are you going to do it every Saturday? Because I drink a lot on the weekends, and I'm just wondering if I'll ever be around sober enough to watch it.
Maybe you won't catch the live.
Okay,
we're experimenting with different days and times and whatnot, so give us
a
little bit of time.
Cool.
But yeah, so to answer your question, Dean, what is going on? One of two things. Either Ford was extremely upset and desperate, having seen sort of the polling results that show that only 30% of people, give or take, approve and would reelect, and took advantage of the latest weather disaster to go and try to seem folksy. So that's one option. I mean, is it possible that he's playing 4D chess and this is all part of his dead catting strategy to distract us from all the other stuff that's going on? And now we're talking about him and his Tonka shovel instead of substantive issues. Maybe and I don't know how to discern what is real incompetence versus his sort of feigned incompetence. Both ultimately, aren't befitting someone who's governing the province. But it could go either way, and that is terrifying.
What do you mean it's terrifying, and what could go either way? The fact that he's either playing 4D chess or he's indeed the idiot we know he is? Is that
which option do we prefer? I don't actually know. So, okay, he thinks that the best use of his time as premier is not coordinating a response to ensure that highways are cleared, ensure that people are taken care of. There's obviously many unhoused individuals who are caught up in that blizzard. And instead, he's out driving around doing an interview on live television behind the wheel during a snowstorm when police have asked us to all stay home, right? That's option A. Or he's playing us and realized that we would be talking about this, and we are. A lot of what he does is a distraction. So neither of those are good options. I just don't know if he's an evil genius or an evil
idiot. Fucking idiot.
Well, Caryma, in the book that you guys did with Robin Doolittle on your show, in her book, Crazy Town, she does, from memory, because I read it a couple years ago, but she does talk about Doug Ford's brother, Rob. One of his endearing qualities, or at least one of his one of the qualities that he used to his political advantage, was that whole retail politics kind of vibe. He often wouldn't bring cameras though. So he would someone would call him, there'd be no camera there. He'd be like, yeah, I'll see if I can get that pothole fixed. Yeah, no problem. That kind of shit. Doug could never do that. Doug does not have that skill. So what we saw, and you're exactly right. He saw an opportunity to make himself look like a retail politician, and he came off just he just failed. It was so transparently not genuine.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's as adept as his brother was at that type of politics, because you're exactly right. It needs to be organic, and this was purely the opposite of organic, and so easy to see that. So I don't really like. Is he trying to emulate Rob's style? Maybe, but just with it, like he's less equipped to do that because he's less personable. I'm sure he has other strengths, but this is not one of them. Anytime he tries to seem relatable, it just falls flat.
Smarmy? Is that a good word for it? Sorry, Locke, go ahead.
No. This is the thing that I keep coming back to when politicians do stuff like this, because I always want to figure out what the hell was going on. So if I'm in a room and we're strategizing, and whether or not it doesn't even matter what it's about, and somebody brings up an idea similar to this, and you've got, I don't know, a handful of people that you trust, where you would bring an idea up like this. There was clearly a conversation beforehand, because there's cameras. There was a plan to phone, somebody that had to be clear. All of this was planned. It's so blatantly obvious. If you're in a room with 3 or 4 other people that you trust to help massage your career or help you gain favor with the public or whatever it is their job is, it seems like I am not the smartest man in the world, but I would have put my hand up and gone, I don't think this is a good idea. Can we discuss how this might be not good for your image? That's what I don't. These are people that have reached a pretty decent level in life. They're working with the premier of a province. What the fuck happened? Like what goes on there? Is that something
it's an archaic idea that's in the same universe as kissing babies, right? Like public relations is probably the worst thing about politics, because they over strategize all the time. Like, we want to come off like this. We want the public to see a version of you like this, and da da da. And every time they have conversations like that, they strip themselves of their authenticity. And so you see this guy, Bondzee, with his eagle eyes, pointed out yesterday that his boots aren't tied up. He's got no hat on his fucking head, and it's -20.
His hair looks great.
His shoes are untied. So you can tell that he literally just got out of his SUV. You also know that he shoots free throws like the granny style, because look at the way he shovels.
Do you see the guy next to him, James? You see the dude next to him covered in snow?
Bundled.
Do you see any snow on Doug Ford?
No.
Do you see any snow on him? Do you see any? No, and his shoes aren't even fucking done up, which means he just popped them on, went out and did this. Here's the problem that everybody's having with this today, right? If I'm not mistaken, the problem that you can't bend over to tie his shoes up. He's too fat. I've been there. I get it. It hurts. I've been in literally rooms where I was like 280 trying to do up my fucking skates before I'm going for a skate. I'm like, here we go. Yeah. Anyway, so I've been there.
That guy had problems.
Happy not to be there anymore. But here's what happened. 2 days ago, because I spoke with someone yesterday and today, 2 days ago, they knew this storm was coming. They planned this whole fucking thing out yesterday. How do I know that? There was a rumor that this lady that was in the picture was his press secretary, Ivana Yelich. It was something that we put out. Now, here's the rub. I don't think that is Ivana Yelich, but Ivana Yelich was kind enough to take the picture as it's credited to her here at the bottom. So she was there. She was absolutely there. She's his press secretary. So now Doug Ford, as you know, billed this as, I'm just a fucking great guy, you guys. That's all I am. And I just decided to go and do this. Here's the video, because yes, after disappearing for a year on end, he shows up on everybody's television this one morning. Instead of coordinating the storm effort from Storm Center, he's driving around with a fucking FaceTime phone call in his hand, phoning every news radio station that would take his call. This was designed. Watch this.
Gentleman right here, I'm just gonna make sure my car's empty. Yeah, just making sure the car's, people aren't stranded. That's all. I've dropped off a few people at their homes, and you just do what you have to do. Everyone's doing it, right? I'm no different.
I don't even want to watch the rest of it because the audio sucks and you can't really hear what he's saying. But it is legitimately what someone does when they know that everybody fucking hates them, and they're gonna seize this golden opportunity during a pandemic. During a pandemic, when we're sick as fuck and we're dying and ICUs are jammed and hospitals are jammed, we cannot dig out. We get a 40-year dump of snow, and this guy not only isn't helping, he's just driving around for the express purposes of making Ontario voters think that he's fucking helping.
I was going to say, does anybody think for 1 second that bullshit's going to look good?
He can't sell
Nobody.
it. He can't sell it.
Nobody.
No.
Dude, this was a fucking prank. Like Doug Ford and his administration played a fucking prank on 15 million sick people yesterday. Just trying to fucking make it work.
You said it legitimately. You said it this morning when we had you on the locker room. This will end his career. That the irony of it is he's done some egregious things. This will potentially destroy his chances at re-election.
Never.
This one video. You don't agree, James?
No, I don't think so. I think people will forget in a week, but this is just his version because he's not bright and he's not very savvy when it comes to things like he can't sell it. He's not a good actor, all that kind of stuff. But this is just his version of Trudeau and the teddy bear. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's his version.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I mean,
it's his version. Remember Trudeau on the horse?
Yeah.
Dude, we're still talking about Trudeau's speech at his dad's funeral and how disgusting it was. How many years ago was that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't think people forget. I think people remember. Although, why do we keep putting them back in power?
But the point I'm trying to make is that every politician has their style of bullshit, that PR-soaked strategy bullshit. Yeah. And this is just his version. Other people do it better. But it's always fundamentally dishonest.
Yeah.
Like getting the right shot means trying to portray a certain perception, even though it's not really genuine because it's all planned out. Like it's just so fake and phony. You know what I mean?
We have to start being honest with ourselves and everybody else.
Caryma, when you
sooner the better.
2 days into this thing, so it was yesterday, we're 24 hours through finding out it was just a photo op and nothing more. Do you think that this is because I said this to you in a DM, this might be the worst reaction I've seen to anything Ford related. Like, where does this put him?
Does it damage him? Of things to come. I hope that every attempt he makes at sort of transparent PR kissing babies nonsense backfires because he is not a likable person. I don't think he likes us either. And you know, like I don't get the impression that he likes Ontarians.
He hates you, and he for sure hates me. For sure. If you're looking for people that he hates, I'm number one.
He's a compulsive liar, guys.
He doesn't even know me.
I interviewed him 8 years ago when he claimed that he worked 126 hours a week. I shit you not. He literally said that.
I thought Rob was.
He also has the habit, and if you go, I wrote an article about this years ago, but if you go back into all these like major issues where he's sort of at the forefront, he always uses a variation of this. I was at home last night as premier, mind you. And, a teacher called me and we started talking about the issue. And he does that all the time. A garbage man called me, a fucking a counselor called me, a cop called me, whatever the issue is. Someone always calls him right and can get a hold of him as premier, which is amazing.
Special, eh?
It's funny. Lachlan, you mentioned Trudeau at his dad's funeral. I was rewatching Doug's eulogy at Rob's funeral, and he was talking about like polling. And it was very bizarre. There were parts of it, I suppose, that were, sad or touching, maybe. But he spent an undue portion of that 9-minute clip talking about Kathleen Wynne and how we poll and who supports us, and it was just bizarre.
At his brother's funeral.
He lost his eating buddy, and he wants to talk politics. That's awful.
Surprised when the reporter asked him about the Brian Lilly press secretary connection, he wasn't like, I had a cuck in a cage call me last night, and they were saying how unfair it is to portray Brian like this.
Well, listen, this is the problem is that he is who we know he is, right? Like, Caryma, you and I both. I mean, he was our number one asshole of 2021. He has continually showed us he's not in it for us. He continually shows us he doesn't give a fuck about anything else other than his own personal or professional interests or curating a narrative or protecting some kind of fucked up reputation, which is something that nobody ever controls, by the way. You can never, ever, ever control your reputation. So expending energy on trying to do it is ridiculous, which is what makes this so fucking incredible to me, right? The sign of a good individual is someone that goes out and does that and doesn't say a fucking word. Not a word. He just goes out with like a shovel that isn't a child shovel, which he did use yesterday. He goes out and he says, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go get stuff done. And I'm not telling anybody. I'm just going to go do it. That is what an act of kindness is all about. When someone brings their press secretary to take pictures, when someone is who doesn't talk to the media, refuses to talk to the media, only pre-approved media, it creates problems. Now, here's the thing. It not only created a problem for him, mainstream media today is taking it in the fucking mouth for very good reason. And it happened this morning on breakfast television with Sid Seixeiro, who legitimately went off on Doug Ford. I'm going to play the video, and then we're going to talk about what happened to the video after they put it on Twitter, which is a fucking crazy story.
I miss Sid.
Oh,
Tim and
great.
Sid. Totally. Such a good show.
Yeah, it was.
Tim
does a decent job too. Yeah,
Tim's okay by himself. Yeah. He's desperately
struggling.
Missing.
Yeah,
Sid.
I know. But Sid moved breakfast television. He was asked about it with Dina, and here's the video. Then we'll get to what happened after video. It's a couple minutes long, so bear with me. It's really good though.
This premier's gone MIA for months during the darkest points of this pandemic. The second he called every media outlet for attention on this, we followed him like lemmings, and it was disgusting. He used a disaster in this city and in a large part of this province as a cheap political stunt the day numbers came out which showed he's barely more popular than Kathleen Wynne. And she was hated by the time she left office. I'm offended that he used that for a political stunt. I'm offended that colleagues of mine in this business didn't have enough sense and followed him along for the ride when he barely wants to talk to any of us in the media and then wants attention that day. And I really hope people paid attention to that. I was born, but not yesterday. I know exactly what that was on a day where people needed legit help, and he used it as a photo op. And I hope people saw that for what it was. People sitting in their car. You want to really help? There's about 36 tractor trailers on the 401, Premier. You want to take that shovel built for a child, you go down there and help out.
I thought you were going to say something else would take that shovel and you, hey-oh. I'm going to tell you this, Sid. Hashtag Canadian Media Failed was also trending yesterday because they were shaming all of us for not saying what you just did. So what you're saying is you want to help your neighbor like many, many, many people did yesterday altruistically because you care. Good on you. You want to turn it into a PR stunt and not say, perhaps I was overzealous and I did break a few rules and I was distracted driving myself. I shouldn't have done that. Own up to all that, and maybe there's that path to forgiveness then. But just the shutout of it all, and let's just carry on and only praise when anybody else would have been in big trouble, fined, et cetera, in a pandemic no less. Like you said, sitting in a car cheek to cheek, sending out an IG reel. Maybe we all got to check ourselves a little bit. And yes, send your love to Sid Seixeiro, if I could say your name.
So now let's check in with Barry and making crepes.
Barry, what's the weather like and what's in those crepes?
I love
Coming
breakfast
up in
television.
2 minutes, Leylah Fernandez on her latest exit from the Aussie Open. So, two things that happened yesterday.
Sid was wound up there.
Sid did go off.
Dude,
loved it.
Two things that happened
I felt
yesterday.
a little tingle
in reference. So Dina is trying to protect everybody in mainstream media. That was called a lemming by Sid. That was called a agent of the power center by me, a sheep by Lachlan, and effectively useless by everybody else. But let me tell you this. There were a lot of reporters for CP24 and for Rogers, for Bell and Rogers, who were not conscious of this being a PR effort. I spoke with several today. Here's how it was presented to them. You may get a call from the Premier this morning. So let me just explain how this works in Toronto and in media in this country. Doug Ford is friends with Edward Rogers. Doug Ford is friends with executives at Bell. He's friends with both sides, his administration. They're all in bed together. The reason political parties exist...
Technically, or just...
Technically, and that was a good shoving right there. Yeah. The reason that political parties exist is to curate influence behind an ideology or narrative. The reason they go out and get people to run for them is to repeat their messaging and grow their base so they can change influence on behalf of their relationships, whether they be big media, whether they be mining, whether they be regulatory, whatever that may be. This is a dance that happens all the time. So backing up to what Sid just did, they put that out on Twitter this morning, right? And I was shocked. Like, I was blown away. And I retweeted it saying,
went
holy
nuts.
fuck.
I even saw it. Yeah.
Because I know the relationship factor between Doug Ford and Rogers. And I thought to myself, holy fuck, they let him put that out. This was the first tweet. Many are calling out Premier Doug Ford for publicizing his assistance to those in need during yesterday's snowstorm. At Sid Seixeiro and Dina share their thoughts. That tweet got deleted because someone from Doug Ford's office, and I know this because it's a fact, called someone at Rogers and Breakfast Television and said, hey,
happened.
by the way, it 100% happened. You fucked us. Take that down. So what did they do? They took it down. Then we put out a tweet saying, takes no courage to do that kind of bullshit. This is a great example of why mainstream media is and politicians are in each other's pockets. This is fucking the most serial killery thing I've ever seen any mainstream media company do. Just tell everybody that news no longer exists when you're a news station. Like, your license exists for you to service the public good. So they just removed the news saying, this hurts one of our relationships. Let's get it up. The outcry was so intense after we pointed it out. And I know this because I've talked to a couple of people today involved. The outcry was so intense, they put it back up. But 2 hours later, but they changed the headline so it was a little more Ford-friendly. That was an ask on behalf of the Ford government. Here's the new tweet. Premier Ford is receiving applause and facing backlash after publicizing the fact that he helped
Just
people
egregious.
I mean, seals clap, so technically that's not wrong.
Can I just say something?
I'm sending you a cape, Caryma.
Wait, it gets better. It gets better.
Okay. I want to add something to this at the end of your explanation, Dean.
In no way do I hold Sid Seixeiro personally responsible for any of it. I was fucking floored that he spoke his mind, and even more floored that BT put that out. I was extra floored when they deleted it because it affected one of the relationships of their CEOs, CFOs, or someone involved. I was even more shocked when Sid put this out. No, that's not Sid's tweet. This is Sid's tweet. I don't usually respond like this on social media, but I need to say something. I have never, ever been censored regarding anything I've ever said on air. Remember those two words, or one hyphenated word. I have never been censored regarding anything I've ever said on air. My opinions today regarding the Premier of Ontario not only aired this morning live, but were also posted. Here it is. Now, I have a great feeling, and I don't know this to be true. I have a feeling, and Locke, correct me if I'm wrong, James, you too, Sid was asked to post this on behalf of Breakfast Television, and Sid has some values, so he didn't say anything about being censored on Twitter and the reposting of this fucking thing. He just mentioned the on-air thing and that he wasn't censored, which is highly accurate. But that is a very fucking smart tweet on behalf of Sid Seixeiro to separate himself from the bullshit and to say, you know what, I was censored on Twitter, though, this morning without actually saying it.
Why couldn't he say it, though? Why wouldn't he say it?
I know what happened.
Censored on Twitter.
I'd bet my car on this.
What?
So they put it out as a team, and they thought it was a good idea. Then the phone started ringing, okay? And then management got involved. I mean, the guys they're not paying attention to every single thing that's happening in every outlet that they have. They have hundreds of outlets. But it caught the attention of the Premier's office, and the Premier's office started to make some well-placed calls. The first reaction from the upper management was yank it. Get it off. Okay. And then Sid went to somebody, his boss, and said, this is not good. This is bullshit. This makes us look bad. Then they had another conversation after that. Sid's right. And then they rejigged it and put it back out.
Bingo.
Well, I guess Sid has to think of his job, but wouldn't it be nice if the media was like, because they can't even tell us what happened because it happened because of the personal connections with Doug Ford. So they can't even be like, you know what, we took it down and then we realized it was a mistake and then we put it right back up.
Here's what I wanted to say about this, and I'm glad Sid said that, because I've said this countless times, because we get called out all the time in the media, and I'm still in the media. We get called out all the time for like, I don't know, like people have this idea that our shows are scripted, that our opinions are our own. I'm like Sid. No one has ever once come into the room when I'm on the air or before a show or anything and said, you need to sell this agenda. They let me do my show, and maybe I'm just lucky, and maybe there's other people in the business that don't feel like they get a chance to say what they think, but I have always had that ability.
But didn't Sid tiptoe around it though? Didn't he? Didn't he say
it was a compromise?
In that quote,
he compromised.
He said I've never been censored. He didn't say the truth, which was for political reasons we took it down, but then we smartened up and put it back up because that's the truth.
Hold it. That's not even the truth. You know what the truth is?
Sure.
The truth is that Breakfast Television took that down unbeknownst to Sid or anybody else. It was in that
I'm not even talking about Sid, but Sid is sort of playing cover a little bit for the company. No.
And then the rush of people going, you guys are a fucking media outlet after they deleted it.
Yeah.
After they deleted it, that hurt them.
Yeah.
They panicked and went, oh, holy fuck. And then they probably went to Sid and said, can you write a tweet and not to help us like save a little fucking company face here?
They also phoned Premier's office and said, listen, if you guys are being honest with yourselves, you fucked up yesterday. And we just did what we should be doing, which is we called you out on it. Now we're willing to put this back up. If you want it, we're putting it back up. And if you want, you can help us make this a little softer for you, and that's what happened. So there was a compromise.
Everything is wrong with that, though.
Everything is wrong with that. But James, that is every part of everybody's life. There is politics in everything.
This is not an isolated incident. Caryma, you know this. You know that this is not an isolated incident, right?
It's not just media and government. It's everything.
Right?
No, Lachlan's right. Everything is politics. And I'm thinking of that Black Mirror episode where the guy would ride on the bikes and turns out he was good at rants. And so this sort of dystopian world plucked him up as like a celebrity sort of TV star. And he got to rant kind of against the administration. But even that was sort of controlled, right? So everything is controlled.
That's so true.
But it's just like a domino effect of stupid, right? Because the first stupid was like, hey, person who's bad in front of cameras, let's go be awkward in front of cameras and pretend it's not awkward. Okay. And then it's fucking like, then he gets shat upon and the media company's like, hey, let's take this down because we're friends with Doug. Okay. And then someone's like, hey, put it back up. And they're like, okay. And then they put it back up, but no one actually says what really happened. Like, it's like,
it's unspoken. Everybody knows.
Does Sid take any heat?
No, he didn't. He took heat probably from the mayor's office, but he didn't. No, I mean, you can't. Sid's unassailable in this. Yeah, he's unassailable in this. He said what everybody knew, what's been documented. I think it's widely accepted, if I'm not mistaken, Caryma, that we all know that this was intentional and it was about a PR. It was a prank, right? He was going, way to fucking punk us in the worst year, in the worst decade, in the worst snowstorm. Was that not the vibe you got from him?
Very much so. There was nothing. It was disingenuous, I think, from start to finish.
Sid said,
disingenuous from start to finish. He said what everyone was thinking, which plays its own role as well, right? Because if literally no one from media had said that I think would be a problem also. Or maybe not. Maybe we do have goldfish memories and this would just sort of fade away.
We don't have enough people in broadcast. We don't have enough people in broadcast like Sid, in my opinion. It's
No.
unfortunate we managed to fire them all. Here's one thing I will say out loud, though.
Why guys like Sid are on the outside looking in, or guys like Sid are like unicorns in this business? Because Sid brings more to them than they do for him. And therefore, Sid can do that. But it doesn't come without consequences. Like, I can tell you, I've been in all of these meetings. Not only would he have chewed on it, he would have been worried about it. He would have been scared. He would have been upset. It's a new gig for Sid, right? Goes from all sports to doing that.
He should win a fucking award for it.
Absolutely. It's indicative of the problem in media. And let me just draw some dots. I'll show you how it works. You'll love this, Caryma. I've got pictures and everything.
Did you do a diagram?
Yeah. These relationships with media and politicians have always been the same, to the point where it's boiled frogs now. Do you remember this lady, Caryma? Adrienne Batra? Do you know who she is?
Oh, I know exactly who she is. She was the press secretary for Rob Ford's campaign turned editor for the Toronto Sun.
So she's in charge of the Toronto Sun. And look at that. She is not only Rob Ford's ex-press secretary, she's also very, very, very good friends with the Ford family. I don't know if you guys know that. Now, here's Adrienne as the editor of The Sun. Here's her with Doug Ford servicing that relationship. Again, this is about serving executive relationships. Head of the PC party, the head of the Toronto Sun. This is her again doing another fluff piece. This actual piece was meant to sewer Rob Ford's widow when she sued him. That's what this picture is from. So they did this campaign against his dead brother's wife so that they can make Doug look good when he screwed her out of his family inheritance, according to what I've heard. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Adrienne Batra is in charge of The Sun. She's best pals with the Fords. Guess who Adrienne Batra hired right before the pandemic? A guy named Brian Lilly. Brian Lilly. Now, who is Brian Lilly living with in a romantic relationship? Great question. Now it's going to be weird because Brian, as you may or may not know, Brian is a neocon. He helped start Rebel News. Not only that, he somehow is the only guy in the entire country that has the Ford scoop a day ahead of time. So here's Brian and his girlfriend who he lives with. Her name's Ivana Yelich. She's Doug Ford's press secretary. Are you getting it now?
Funny how that works.
Yeah, again, this is not uncommon in any organization, right? Yeah, I'm going to say something that'll add some context to this. When you're on the air in some capacity, and your job is to bring content every day. If somebody says to you, "I want to put a band on the air," right? And you have access to band X. Have you heard their new song? There's that quid pro quo every time, and it's been going on forever. Down in the States,
quid pro quo? No,
I think I might have said it wrong. Did I say it wrong? I don't want to repeat it.
One more time. Do it for me.
It'll quit. So anyway, there has always been this quid. Who?
Pro quo.
Pro quo. Anyway,
one more time, just for me. Just for me.
Dean,
Karyma's like, why am I fucking
tell my story? Am I?
This is great. I enjoy it.
So anyway, it's been going on forever. Down in the States, they've just cut that bullshit out. They just give people fucking money. They literally walk into radio stations and open up they don't fucking care. And they've been talking about the fact that that's been gone forever. No, it hasn't. It has not. You want to break a single in the United States of America, it will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The
Trust
weird thing is that the media doesn't even hide it, right? Like, do you remember, Caryma, maybe Caryma remembers what election it was? It was like 2 elections ago. I don't even remember if it was federal or provincial, but there was that leaked document from The Sun that was basically like a handbook on how to be pro-conservative party during the election coverage. And it was like, no one was surprised. But then you had but it happens all the time. One time I was with a liberal lawyer. He's pretty well known, but I won't say his name. And he's like, James, you have no idea how it works. And I'm like, well, how does it work? He's like, I'm going to call this reporter from the Toronto Star. I'm going to get him to write this story in 2 days because it's the best timing for us and our candidate. And he's going to use this turn of phrase because I'm going to ask him to. Sure enough, man, 2 days later, the story was in the Toronto Star. They used that turn of phrase. The timing was perfect for the candidate. And I was just like, you're proud of this? And we started to argue a little bit because I'm just like, that's everything wrong with that incestuous relationship with
politicians. But it's been going on forever. It
doesn't make it right. You know,
and
it doesn't make it right, but it's been going on forever.
Media, as well as politics and law, actually, are all like generational sort of nepotistic professions. Mm-hmm. So if we look at kind of the family legacies, and sometimes, there's overlap or like lateral movements, but like there are these dynastic relationships that go back several generations. So not only are they incestuous, but they're also cliques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and you think about this happens in sports. Sports guys, you'll never hear a sports guy shit on a hockey player because they're worried about their parking pass at the fucking arena. You will, I mean, and there's guys that are running media companies that are terrified about guys like me and Sid and Dean working for them because they know we're loose fucking cannons and we don't fucking care. We don't care if we ever get Doug Ford.
We don't care if we fucked with or not. Like, no. I don't give two. Like, this is the difference between. Well, first of all, money would be the difference between MSM and us. But the difference between them and us today is no one called me to take anything down. Have I been asked to take something down or go softer on the Fords? Yeah, I have. And I've said the same thing to them
every week.
Yeah. I say the same thing to all of them is no, because there's no recourse here. Like, no one's giving me money from any of those organizations. My job doesn't count
you have zero access to.
Zero access. And nor do I want it because all the access I need is legitimately pictures of him doing this shit.
Yeah.
So what does he do moving forward after that debacle yesterday? Like, how's he fix this?
He's going to go home, have some smokes,
some donuts,
call around and ask how bad it is. Probably talk to Nick Kouvalis, who we've had on the show, and go, give it to me straight. And Nick's like, you're losing big time. Like, in the latest poll, he's trending somewhere south of everybody else. I don't know where it is, but he is, like, legitimately anybody that voted for him is going, I don't think that he gives a fuck about us because he killed a bunch of us during the pandemic. And instead of actually trying to protect us and protect businesses, he took advantage of it for his own personal use. So I don't think I want that guy swearing an oath to protecting me and my family for the next 4 years. That's where we're at. And today and yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Caryma, was like, if you were under some obligation to vote for him, that disappeared yesterday. That's the feeling I got. I don't know.
You know what I would do if I was Sid's boss? I would say, hey, well, listen, give us access then. You want to fix this? Then put Sid and Doug together.
They created this, right, Caryma? They created this vacuum on their own, did they not?
But I want Sid to be able to ask hard questions.
Yeah.
There have been no one-on-one, like no one-on-ones with the premier really for a very long time. During his campaign, sure. But since then, like how many hard interviews has he had to endure?
Well, that's probably advice from his handlers. Like, don't do it. You're awful at it.
How many? How many times do you remember him getting a real question in these things? Do you guys remember? I don't.
No.
Like, when was the last time Doug Ford was asked a question by somebody who had a question like the questions that we ask? Do you guys remember? Anybody?
There's a handful there's a handful, but nothing about Krista. A handful maybe that have like sort of slipped through, but it goes back to his press secretary and the way that I understand they run these conferences. She's the gatekeeper. So if you have upset our dear leader,
you put it at the bottom of the list. Yeah. Well, you do, dude. And I had someone from, I won't tell you from what news organization, but it was a big one, one of the biggest in the country. Actually, it's an international news organization. I showed you, I put the tweets or the direct messages up a couple weeks ago. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. When I was like, hey, everybody, this is how they run it. Ivana goes and she gives someone else named Amin is her name. She's like, I want you to put all these numbers at the bottom. Take these questions. Don't take any questions from these people. And then we're out of here in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the situation is. Yeah, it happens. It doesn't just happen. I know it's a documented fucking fact that they do it. So no one can ask these questions. And then when Sid goes off, like they have, and I will give them credit. I mean, they've operated in a silo for a long time, huh, Caryma? Like they really, really have.
Yeah, but I mean, it undermines the purpose of media insofar as it should be keeping people informed and engaged and critical. So, like, what are we doing here?
Oh, and the second that he goes, hey, media, I'll go on your news station, they all run to him and go, thanks, Doug. That's
we'd all do that. I'd pucker up a bit. I mean, it's Doug. I mean, hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. Conservatives hate it. Conservatives hate it when the liberals do this, though. You know, like Althea Raj was photographed before the last election with Jerry Butts in some bar in Ottawa, and it was like the biggest story ever on conservative media because the incestuous relationship, the idea that there is like a quid pro quo or an exchange of services. But it's weird because it's like if you're a journalist, you want to be cooperative with your sources. Often your sources are people with political agendas, and they're only sources because the information they're giving you will hurt their political opponent. So they become a weapon, and it's a strange way to try to navigate a democracy. It's really strange.
It's greasy business, isn't it?
It is.
Media and politics.
There's examples of this in every business, though.
Yeah, and law. Yeah, they're greasy too, sometimes.
Oh, dude, you're the least greasy person I know. That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Caryma's a lawyer, not greasy. It's amazing how many lawyers are in the executives and board members of media companies. Amazing how many lawyers get into politics, too. Isn't it crazy?
Have you ever done a shitty thing, though, Caryma? Come on, let's dig.
I do so much shitty stuff all the time, Lachlan. That was not the time or the place.
Stop it. I will not let you poison your image.
I would love to hear it.
Fuck you, Doug. I think, Caryma, I'm pretty sure you're the first lawyer who I can guess has not done cocaine a lot.
I actually never have. Yeah. No, I never.
That I know
I think there's other lawyers who have not either. But
I don't think so.
And I have no problem with people who do cocaine.
I think that's pretty far-fetched.
I don't either. But for you I think you actually may be the only lawyer who's never done rails. I'm almost positive of it.
That's right.
I'm almost sure.
I
know a lot of lawyers. I had a lawyer like 10 years ago, and I went to a party with him, and I'm like, hey, I'm getting ready to leave. He goes, and it was like a team of lawyers in this party in his kitchen. He's like, we just ordered the Coke. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to see you later. That was it. I'm like, fuck, I'm out of here.
You're leaving before the blow shows up? No.
And they always had wrinkled blazers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wear robes. I don't have to make my blazer iron.
Anyway, I'm glad we got that taken care of today. It was nice to have some straight lines to... It was really. I felt like the Columbo of investigative reporting. I'm like a poor man's Goldhawk, if you will.
The trick now is to figure out whose car it was.
Oh,
so whoever he gave the
probably
40
drove
bucks
it in there on purpose. Yeah.
I love how it was snowing in the picture, and there's.
I think I'm going to try to find that out. I'm curious. Obviously, not blasted if it's a private citizen, but I'm
cameraman's car.
I want to know not just whose car that is, but I want to know if this dude. And listen, do I know for a fact that this guy is just a citizen who needed a ride? I don't know, but I bet she knows this dude too.
If you ever need any help.
Seriously.
This is Doug Ford. I'm the taxi driver today. The snowplow. Everything else.
Yeah.
If you ever need any help.
Yeah, man.
This is Doug Ford.
Yeah.
I'm the taxi driver today. The snowplow. Everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything but Premier, literally.
Yeah, right.
He's wanted to drive like the truck to Kalamazoo to pick up vaccines. He's going to drive the school bus. He's going to drive the ambulance. He's driving snowplows, but
well, in fairness, the drivers of snowplows called him that very night, and they told him that he was.
Did Rob do a lot of shit like that?
Coke? Yeah.
No, Rob. No, did he do a lot of like this kind of like?
No, not
Well,
in public.
as I was saying
The
earlier-
only time he ever went out in public, he was like just kind of he got caught doing rails or caught fucking smoking crack or caught getting wasted in like Molly's at like 2:00 in the morning or caught taking a piss in the bushes and putting down his vodka Slurpee. Like that's who he was. I mean, you know,
he kind of didn't want to be caught doing shit.
No, he didn't. He
No.
was actually, you know, although a crack addict and fucking totally insane, he actually kind of there wasn't as much hubris around him, was there? Which is odd to say about the Fords. Like, you know, I watched a clip. Yeah, I watched Caryma's podcast with Robin the other day, and I thought you guys did a really good job of breaking down the differences between the Fords and the lineage of the Ford family. I thought it was fascinating, but they're very different people. I mean, Rob, you know, R.I.P. He, as Caryma said, he had that gear of like, you know what, we don't need to show people us fixing potholes. And Doug's like, yeah, we do. We got to show everybody. Right?
Loves the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loves it.
You remember when
A
Doug
one-sided
convinced
relationship.
When Doug convinced Rob Ford to put that novelty scale outside his office and have a weigh-in?
We talked about that actually, and you know, it seemed like he might have gotten a kick out of humiliating his brother.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Do you remember that? Like, if you missed the Ford Cut the Waste challenge, they did this. They put a massive industrial scale because they were both 400 pounds, and they went out and they weighed themselves each week. And every week, Doug lost 5 pounds, and every week, Rob gained 5.
Yeah.
No,
just humiliated over and over again.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cruelty there that, you know.
It's not really difficult to imagine Rob Ford like growing up in that house and eating out of a dog bowl on the floor. It's just not that hard to imagine it. I'm not saying
that's. I've heard that story. Is that about Rob?
I'm actually being sarcastic.
That's how I picture Brian Lilly eating dinner. So I don't know.
There was somebody with a brother in politics, and they used to make him eat out of a dog dish when.
No, this is an anecdote I told on this podcast like 8 months ago as another joke. I just need more jokes.
This is how misinformation happens.
I am mixing up one of your stupid fucking stories with an actual human being. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, fuck.
The Dean Blundell Show, your news source.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob Johnson just told us too. Kevin J. Johnson made bail. I don't know how he did.
You called him Rob Johnson. That's horrible.
Rob Gill. Not Rob Johnson.
I've done that a couple of times already too.
Quarterback for the Bills. Yeah. My bad.
Oh, that's a real person. I thought you were just making him Kevin J. Johnson's partner. Okay.
No. I just fucked up the name because
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was an awful quarterback. I remember when they used him instead of Flutie. That was such a fucking joke.
Worst decision.
Music City Miracle. Fuck you. Anyway, I digress. Caryma, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. It's always great to see you and get your perspective. Thanks, Caryma. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you,
Caryma Rules on Twitter is where you can find her. A podcast called Caryma Rules, which is you can get it pretty much anywhere you get your podcast: Apple, Spotify, Google.
I was going through Caryma withdrawal because I haven't seen her since New Year's.
She's awesome.
There's something about her that's very like
calming.
She's like I don't know. She gives me hope or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I really like her.
She's not overly jaded by the world, and she's actually doing good work on behalf of human beings. That's kind of the whole idea.
Like I like her a lot. Like I won't park outside her house like her, but like I like her. You know what I mean? Like she's.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Even the anti-vaxxers were coming around to her and always waving hi. Oh yeah, Caryma's here. Look.
You can't hate her, dude. She's like fucking smart. She's kind. She's loving. She's the most authentic person I know. She's awesome.
And
really is.
You guys completely fucking threw a wrench into the whole discussion about the shitty thing she's done. Imagine how much fun we could have had. Absolutely, she has.
Dude, I talked to her the other day.
Awesome.
True story. She was so busy in university and school. Like, she's like a super genius in the legal community. Like, she graduated at the top of her class. She's like, I don't even know if I like this. But she's like that. Like, she's one of those gifted people, right? And I was talking to her the other day. And we were just kind of discussing what she wanted to do. She's capable of doing legitimately anything she wants. That's how bright she is. Yeah. She's awesome. Yeah,
I'd quit everything to be her like assistant or something, just to be around that. You know? No, I wouldn't. Actually, I wouldn't.
Caryma, he just said he'd quit everything to be her assistant.
I heard that. Thank you, James.
Caryma, you know how like the shrooms get rid of my brain buzzes?
What's
the last time I was on
shrooms
in front of you, I was like, you got off the show and I was like, Dean, I think the shrooms have made me fall in love with Caryma.
You did.
Guys, my ego is going to be too big now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
James,
I'm glad I stayed listening.
Just wanted to
shut up for the rest of
make
the
James
podcast.
uncomfortable again. That was all. Thanks.
It
Appreciate
doesn't
it.
make you uncomfortable. It makes me
he
more
cares.
comfortable. Now I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
That's
And the store that sells hemp bags.
We also
What are they
sell
gonna do without
bottle
you?
openers that are shaped like dicks.
Oh, good. That's exciting.
super.
Killaloo. Super Bondzee says. Bonds, you going to get your nuts treated and your taint fixed
Yeah,
today?
we'll get that fixed this week. We're out of here in a couple of weeks, so I'm on a deadline now. I've got to get things rolling, and we're getting there. I'm wrapping things up here that I need to do, so I'm pretty excited for that.
No, but you got an appointment to have your taint fixed?
For that, I just got to go into either the
Fisher?
walk-in clinic or emergency and get that
Lanced?
opened up and taken out. Yeah.
All right.
Can
And then
you
doctor's
do
appointment
video
with my
of that?
family doctor. New family
what?
doctor, by the way. The old guy just retired at like 87 years old. It was time for him to go. So I get to meet my new doctor soon.
You're going to get your testicles taken care of?
No, I don't
third
think
one?
there's anything wrong with the testicles.
Oh my God!
You have hydrocele.
You have a fucking massive growth in your ball bag.
You have
Get it
hydrocele.
taken care
I'm
of.
telling
Yeah,
you.
but I've had it for a long time, and it's been checked before, and they said it was nothing. So I'm not too concerned
that's what
about it.
that's
you get
what
an
John
ultrasound?
Merrick said too. Remember him, the Elephant Man?
Yeah, I'll do
look at Grandma's
ayahuasca
goiter.
in Nicaragua, and
That'll
it'll go
fix
away.
the
It'll be
third nut.
fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Have a great day, everybody. Bonds is going to go get fixed up. James is going to be off tomorrow. Lachlan and I will be back. Ryan Lindley hopefully will be joining us as well. We've got a couple other tricks up our sleeve. But Lach, appreciate you being here at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Don't forget 95.7 Cruise FM at Edmonton is where you can find him every single morning.
Good show,
Host of
boys.
the Locker Room. No problem. Great to see you. James DiFiore, Blackball Media, the podcast, where you can find him. Blackballmedia.ca.
Call me, Caryma.
Please go check it out.
Call me.
She's not calling you.
I know.
And that is Bonzarelli at Bondzee Live on Twitter. Tripping with Bondzee. You got a podcast tonight too? Is that your deal?
No, last night
Okay,
we did. Tomorrow night we got Pixie, the stripper. She'll be coming on. And the pole dancer extraordinaire.
That's
She's
who
like,
I filled in for last
hold
week.
it.
Was the
Yeah,
pole
right.
dancer?
Hold it.
Yeah.
You're
She's
having
coming
a
up tomorrow.
stripper. Is she stripping on the show, or is she just talking about stripping?
No, we'll be talking about stripping and everything she does. She's been in a whole bunch of stuff, and she does the pole dancing lessons and the whole night.
So you want me to be a guest at the same time and make her do shit? I can make her do
Is
shit,
it-
I bet.
No, I really don't.
No.
Is she a sex worker as well, or just a stripper?
No, I think she's just a stripper, not a sex worker.
I was
I
just
think she
asking.
has been
Aren't
in
all
the porn
strippers sex
industry, though.
workers?
She has
do you mean?
done some porn stuff. Yeah, I think.
So she
From
was
what
a sex
classes.
worker. So she is.
She's not a sex worker.
Well, that's not
She
really a
got
sex
banged
worker.
for money, but she's not a sex worker.
Well,
Sex
and then last week when Bondzee came down with his third case of COVID, Glassy sent me a note and said, "Can you fill in?" And we were just going to do 10 minutes and tell everybody Bondzee died. And then I'm like, I find out when I jump on the podcast. I'm like, hey, and like, who was supposed to be the guest? And they're like, a pole dancer. I'm like, oh yeah, so people are tuning in tonight to watch Bondzee interview a pole dancer, and they get these two assholes. Worst decision ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling in, though, bud. That was good.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next up on stage one is her podcast. She
Next
talked
up on
about
stage one is her
stripping.
podcast.
Yeah.
Glassy, former stripper and podcast. I didn't know she's a podcaster. How cool is
Yeah.
that? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Okay.
She's a rocket.
I'm looking forward to talking to her. She's
All right.
she's a rocket. She's hot.
I need to get to know her first before I say if she's hot or not. A lot of really attractive people can be ugly on the inside, Bonds.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. I was with some of them.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm single.
Sure.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anyway, thanks, buddy. Great to see you.
Bye, guys.
See you, Bonds.
Thank you. Bye.
See you a lot. Great to see you. All
Bye.
right. That's it for us. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with us. Think for yourselves. Really important to do that. It doesn't mean like decide for yourself what facts are. It just means think for yourself before you read something in the news and go, I really appreciate mainstream media in this country. They're the best. Not so much. I mean, there's good people working for mainstream media. Don't get me wrong. They think they're working for mainstream media, but it's like a Russian psyops thing. They don't even know that they're agents of a power center, but they are. Anyway, crying shame. Hate to see it. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. Don't forget, you can get everything we do at deanblundell.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our friends at Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial, these people help you get a car. People that can't get financing, go to them all the time. They're it. They don't charge you for financing. They don't care about your credit. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Check them out today. No obligation. Also, Domination. If you're a content provider, producer, these guys are great. They make it super easy, super simple for you to do promos and stuff. Legacy content you put all over different formats and through different socials. Normally, you like make one video. It takes you hours. You feed one file in that's like an hour long. You get 72 pieces. It's incredible stuff. Artificial intelligence at its finest for content providers. Go to dmntn.com for more information today. And edsfineimports.com. I wear his underwear all the time. Lots of my friends now wear his underwear. And Ed wants you to wear his underwear too. It's his luxury branded underwear, Canadian made. Gitch is the promo code. Gitch3 is your promo code. Gitch and then the number 3. Go online, order some clothes from him, massive online store, and you'll get an extra pair of underwear for free when you use that promo code. Order from Ed's today, edsfineimports.com, and his Gitch. Awesome stuff. I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for us. Have a great day. Be safe. And the intro. That's great. It's the same thing. We just use it twice. See ya. Bye.